All right, Kyle and Anna, I wanted to get you guys sort of a formal video. Bowie, go. No, heel, sit. I'm gonna get you guys sort of a formal video on sort of some instructions for how we're working with Bowie and what you guys can work on once you get him back. The most important thing in this whole process is to think about what we're working with Bowie, to remember that we are his master and that I don't ask him to do anything. Sit. That we need to tell him what to do. It doesn't need to mean we need to be mean or harsh or angry or upset, but we need to be businesslike. We need to be firm. We need to be a parent in a way that we are telling him what he needs to do in order that he can be safe and successful with the things that we want him to accomplish. So Bowie seems to respond to this very well. And the best way to say it is I'm going to give him the commands businesslike. But all in all, he seems to handle it well. He takes the corrections when I correct his behavior very well. And so I'm very happy with that. So right now, I just want him to sit here. So anytime he does something other than sit here politely, I simply pull him on the leash and put him back into the sit position. All right? So we want him to stay put until I tell him to do otherwise. That's going to be obviously one of the essential commands with any therapy dog, is he needs to be able to stay sitting even when all sorts of other stuff are going on. Just right over here off camera, for example, Elizabeth is entertaining the other dogs with a stick so that they'll be quiet, and Bowie is very fascinated by this, and so he wants to go over there, but he knows, no, I gotta stay here. This is my job. So the basic commands for dog obedience are three things: sit, hear, and heel. And whenever we give one of these commands, the rules are you only say it once, and you never say a command unless you're sure you can make the dog do the behavior. Now, the way we do this at the beginning is we do it on a leash. And really, technically, sit. In a therapy situation, most of the time, he's technically supposed to be on a leash anyway. So the leash is sort of that's our primary go-to, right? So if we don't think he's gonna come to us, we don't say that we want him to come to us, because otherwise he's going to learn that whatever he just heard doesn't matter and he's going to blow you off. So we want to make sure that he understands that he has to do what we want. If he isn't going to do it, we have to find some other way to motivate him. The primary way to motivate him, food. So if we can't have him under control with a leash, we use food to motivate him to do what we want him to do. And very often, if we're motivating with food, after he already knows the commands, we aren't even going to say the command anyway. Now, all of that is a whole lot of instruction, but you're going to have this video so you can go back and watch it later should you need to. Now, there is some more great distraction. Anka is hanging out right over here, and she's probably going to come over here and harass him at some point, which is part of his training, which is great. So, sit. You can tell he's having a hard time. He wants to go play, he wants to go do stuff, but he's being a good boy and following the commands. So, what we're going to do is a little practice with sit, hear, and heel. Let me show you what that looks like. Primarily, we're going to be doing a lot of heel. Bowie, heel. Good heel. Oh. Good. Sit. Now, you might have noticed there that when we took off, he was really wanting to get away from me, wander to the left where the other dogs are, and I kept correcting him by pulling on the leash. It's important that when I pull the leash, one, he responds by coming back to me, and two, as soon as he's back in the right position, the pressure from the leash immediately comes off. So we want him to think, okay, when I'm beside him, this is my good spot. This is how we communicate with him and tell him that he's doing what I want him to do. Now, I'm also going to correct for him to want to sniff the ground. When he is in the heel, we should not be sniffing the ground. Now, that's actually a really tough one, to not sniff the ground, because that's in every dog's instinct is to sniff the ground. But we're going to work, when we are doing heel, he should not be sniffing the ground, right? So when he is in any position other than walking beside me, nose in front, tail behind, and nose up, he's going to be corrected to get back into position. And what you saw in that first rep is on the way back, he responded extremely well and got 0 corrections because he understood and he learned from the first time out. So that's really good. So when we're doing heel, we can go straight out, straight back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of square. All right, Bowie, heel. Good. Good boy. Good boy. Very nice. Good. Good boy. Very good. Sit. All right, so there we did some inside squares and some outside squares where I'm turning in and I'm turning away, which is very good. He's very interested in all the other dogs and all the other shenanigans going on around him, but he is working with me. Bowie, heel. Good boy. Sit. Now, one of the next things we need to work on teaching him is to sit and stay put. Now, I do not use the word stay. I use the word sit to mean sit until I tell you to do something else. So, if I say sit, that means he needs to stay put. Ooh, and here comes temptation. Sit. 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 Good boy. Sit. 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 Heel. 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 No. 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 Come on. Heel. Good boy. Good. Sit. Now this is really, really, really difficult for Bowie. This is probably his kryptonite, is playing with other dogs. He's very social, very lovey. Sit. Good. Sit. Heel. So we are walking away from the distraction. Can you come get on, okay? Just call her. Just call her. Sit. 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 Sit.
Come here, Oka.
Sit. 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 Boy. Sit. Good. Sit. Now, learning to work with distractions is one of the most difficult part of therapy work. Because obviously in a classroom, or a nursing home, or a hospital, or a department store, or whatever, there's going to be a million distractions. So these are the things that are really form the foundation of his training, where he wants to go play with stuff. But we have to keep him focusing. We have to help him mature and grow up and know that, no, we're going to do our task before we get to go play. And so he's responded to that very nicely. I'm pretty happy with that. That was pretty good. And the important thing that I'm watching with Bowie throughout all of this is, in order to know whether or not we're being too hard on it, or it's too much, is to watch the tail. If you watch his tail and his posture, it tells you everything about how he's feeling. And so when you see him walking at heel, he's happy, he's bebopping around. He is a happy dog, which means he likes the process. He likes structure. He likes to have it organized so he knows what to do. So all in all, we're off to a great start. We're going to add a few more things where we're going to work more on sit without moving, where I get out away from him. Sit. That's going to be one that we're going to work on so that we can sit and stay without having to, we can tell him to stay put. But all in all, heel. We're off to a great start. He's doing very well.